domain environment, so we can create group policies, right? So to control the settings, user settings and computer settings. So similarly in Intune also we can configure policies. These are called configuration profiles, okay, device configuration profiles. So using these profiles, so we should be able to control the way users log in and access the devices, okay, and how they use these devices. So a lot of things we can do. We'll get there one by one. So you can configure specific policies to control devices as well as applications. So for example, you can prevent emails from being sent to people outside your organization. So I don't want my employees to send, email to personal email IDs, or I don't want my employees to use their official email ID for any personal reasons. Okay, so I can control, I can configure some policies there, the way they log in, the way they access data and applications. So for everything we can define policies and we can control their work environment, okay, provided the device is enrolled into Intune. Intune also allows people in your organization to use personal devices for work. Okay, on personal devices, Intune helps to make sure your organization data stays protected and can isolate org data from personal data. Okay, so what does this mean? So there are two kind of scenarios here when it comes to the devices: a personal device or a corporate issued device. Okay, so this is called PIOD. So what happens is an employee can bring his or her personal device, okay, like your own laptop if you have, okay, or a mobile phone or a tablet that you have. So if your company policy allows the enrollment of a personal device, then yeah, Intune administrator can allow that to happen. So your personal device can be allowed to enroll to Intune, and using this personal device, you can access organizational apps and data. Okay. Now there will be immediate concern here, so which is security. Now that device being a personal one, so uh, you can mute when you are not talking. I think it is Pankaj. Pankaj. Hello, Pankaj. Yeah. So just mute when you are not talking so that we don't have any background disturbance. Yeah, fine. Okay. So Intune allows two kinds of devices to be enrolled and managed. So employees can bring in their personal device. So that is BYOD, bring your own device. So they can enroll to Intune from their personal device itself. And this can be uh, allowed to use to access organizational applications and data. Okay, but security will never be a compromise because isolation will happen. Okay, so personal data, the employee will have full control. Organizational apps and data, the company will have the control. That is, you being the Intune administrator, you will control everything that relates to company, the company apps and the company data. So this will be isolated. So both are completely isolated, the personal data from organizational data, and respectively the user and admin will have the control on the respective profile. So isolation happens where you have a personal profile and a work profile on the device. So you don't have to worry about data security here. The second thing is sometimes companies issue devices, right? So when you join a company, or say nowadays we have this work from home situation, so you get issued laptops, mobiles or tablets, so that you can stay connected 24 by 7 from any random location. All you need is internet access. Okay, so then you can also enroll corporate devices, so company issued devices. Okay, then you can have full control as an Intune admin of that particular device. So we can ensure that user does not place any personal data on this device. Everything will be related to organizational applications and data. Okay, so that will be a corporate device. So both kind of scenarios are supported. So a user can bring in their own device, or you can enroll devices which are issued by the company. Now, the next thing important that we need to understand is, so Microsoft has a product suite. Okay, so a bunch of products. It's called EMS suite, in the sense the package. Okay, so enterprise mobility and security. So there are a bunch of products. So we can also call them MEM products. So Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Okay, so Intune is part of this EMS package. Okay, enterprise mobility and security. So there is a link provided, so you can go ahead and look for further information here. So when you buy an Intune license, so I can buy a just, I mean, I can buy a standalone license that comes with very basic features. Okay, but if I want all advanced features, that will include, identity and access management, security for your data, security for your apps, etc. So we need advanced features. So those will be provided when we buy a EMS license. Okay, so typically at an organizational level, so companies would definitely need a EMS license rather than Intune basic license, because when I buy EMS, I'll not only get Intune but also all the other advanced features that I will typically need in a real-time scenario. So Intune is part of this enterprise mobility suite, and like I mentioned, it also integrates with Azure-AD. Okay. Now on-premise, so how do we manage our users and computers? Okay, especially in a real-time scenario, you will have hundreds or probably thousands of computers, and your employees, thousands of employees who log in from these devices. Okay, so you will basically need a directory service which will host.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi Stanley.
Hi, who
Good
is this?
morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Sunil this here.
Okay.
Please record this session.
Hello.
Hello. Please
Yeah,
record this session. Share
you want
me.
me to record this? Okay, fine, not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, fine. We started it. So yeah, coming back to this aspect. So let's say I have a total of 50,000 objects. That includes my users and devices. So if I want to manage the work environment of these users and computers, so I will need a directory service. Okay, so which will basically host all the information in a central location, and I will have read-write access as an admin to control these users and devices. So on premise, that is when you have your own infrastructure, especially Windows based. So we have the concept of Active Directory domain services, right? So that is your on-premise directory service, which will basically host all your objects information, like your users, groups, organizational units, computers, etc. So a central location for all your network objects. So a master directory service, which will help you to control the work environment of your users and computers. So similarly, when I sign up for Intune, so I will also get a directory service here, but this will not be on premise. This will be cloud based. Okay, so this is a version of cloud version of Active Directory domain services that you get on premise. So Microsoft by default provides this cloud-based directory service when you sign up for Intune, and that is called Azure AD. So technically, sorry. So technically, what happens is you become a tenant on cloud. Okay, because in cloud, the underlying infrastructure is obviously hosted by the vendor. In this case, it is Microsoft. So I have about 25,000 employees and about 25,000 devices to manage. So that's a big number. Okay. So where will I store all this information? So I need a directory, simply put. So that directory will be provided by me, for me, by the vendor when I sign up for Intune. So, but that will be a cloud-based directory. So for this directory, if I need any underlying infrastructure, like a couple of servers to host all this information, I don't have to do it myself. The vendor will take care of that. Okay. So because this is software as a service. So that is what is Azure AD, a cloud-based directory service. This will help us to control. So I said, right, just now, I mentioned that we can control the settings, user settings, and computer settings. So how are we able to control is because Intune by default integrates with Azure Active Directory in order to control who has access and what they can access. So the policies basically. So who can log into my corporate environment and who can access what apps and what data. So all this we can control through various policies. Okay, compliance policies, device configuration profiles, application management policies. Okay, data management policies. A lot of policies there are in place which we can configure through Intune. So identity and access management. So that is what we will get. I am, that is what it is referred to as identity and access management through this cloud-based directory service. So every employee can be provided a identity which they can use to access, not just access. First of all, to log into the corporate environment and then access the applications and data that they need on their day-to-day activities. Okay, so it also integrates with Azure Information Protection for data. So, like I said, Intune is also responsible for the data protection, okay, of your organization. So, if at all users bring in their personal devices, so there has to be a segregation of the personal and company data. So, this Azure AD will be responsible because it also provides another service called Azure Information Protection. Okay, so zero tolerance when it comes to data loss. So everything can be secured access. So Intune can be used alongside Microsoft 365 suite of products. Now this usually confuses a bit. Okay, So don't get confused. Office 365 is now Microsoft 365. Okay, old name versus new name. So whether you call it Office 365 or Microsoft 365, anything is fine. It's just rebranding of the same product. So if I buy Office 365 particular version of license or MS 365 license, for example, then also Intune license is included. So it is also part of the Microsoft 365 suite package. Okay. So you can also, deploy Office apps or Office related apps like Microsoft Teams, Skype for Business, formerly is now called Microsoft Teams, where OneNote and all other Microsoft 365 apps to these devices. Complete Office package, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Teams, whatever you need as part of the package. You can deploy the entire package as it is, or you can customize and just, the select products from the package also can be deployed. So this feature enables people in your organization to be productive on all of the devices while keeping your organization's information protected with the policies you create. So it's very simple, when it comes to Intune. All you need is a device which can connect from anywhere. It doesn't have to log into the corporate network. You don't need a VPN specifically. Okay. So just a device with internet access is all you need when you enroll the device into Intune and start accessing your organizational apps and data. But does it mean that you have to compromise with security because you are logging in from random location? No. Intune integrates with Azure Active Directory to provide information protection. Okay. Now let's see what we can basically do with Intune apart from MDM and MAP. So with Intune, first thing what I can do is I can choose to be 100% cloud with Intune or be co-managed with Config Manager and Intune. Okay. So Intune is a 100% cloud-based service. Okay. So everything will be cloud-based. All the underlying infrastructure is provided by the vendor. But in some companies, what happens is, let's say, let's take two scenarios. Okay. Company A and company B. Company A is a very small company. Let's say it's a startup company, okay, with very few employees. I just have, say, around 500 employees. They have their laptops or mobiles that they use to connect to work environment, okay. So I'm a startup company. I don't want to invest a lot in my underlying infrastructure. So if I want to set up my own data center, I will need a lot of investment. Okay. So first of all, I need to, invest in a lot of infrastructure. So set up my data center. So it's not just going to involve cost, it will also involve time. Okay. To set up the data center is not a small thing. Okay. It takes time to start it up and get to production. Okay. So there will be investment cost, and then there will be operational cost also. Every month you'll have to, maintain and run this data center. Okay. So there is capital expenditure and there is also operational expenditure, but rather I would eliminate this. Okay. So with cloud service, so I don't want to set up my underlying infrastructure. So I want to go with a cloud based service. So all I will do is I will buy licenses and all the underlying infrastructure will be provided by my vendor, which is Microsoft in this case. Now, let's say company B scenario. Okay, it's an MNC, a very big MNC. So they have at least 50,000 or higher employees and network setup. they already have an on-premise scenario. Okay, so they already have on-premise infrastructure. Now they also want some cloud-based services. Maybe the company is willing to move certain services to cloud. Okay, then what should happen? So I will have both
அவங்க
on-premise
பேசுறாங்க.
and on-cloud environment. Okay, so this is where Intune
பாரு
will help you to co-manage your clients.
வித்தியா எழுதுறாங்க.
Okay, so co-management is where the same device, let me show you. So the device can be managed by
டாடா
Intune
படிச்சிட்டு இருக்கேன்.
alone. Uh,
டாடாவை
Henry, can you mute yourself? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so a device can be managed by just Intune, then it will be 100% cloud-based. But where you have an on-premise existing scenario, so companies will need a co-management option. So the same device, what happens is, will be managed by two solution providers. Okay, one will be your SCCM, one will be your Intune. So some policies you will define through Intune, some policies you will define and enforce through SCCM. Okay, so that's the same machine being managed by two different solution providers here. So SCCM will enforce its own policies, Intune will enforce its own policies. Okay, so this is where it's called co-management. You know, the same device being managed by both SCCM and Intune. So it depends. So if you want it to be 100% cloud service, you can do that. But if you already have an on-premise infrastructure, but if you are extending onto cloud services, you are working in a hybrid scenario where you have both on-premise setup as well as on-cloud setup, and then you can choose Intune to become a co-management solution. Okay. The next thing we can do is set rules and configure settings on personal and organization owned devices to access data and networks. Okay. So like I said, we control as admins who can log in from where and access what. Okay. So we have various policies to do that. Next thing is deploy and authenticate apps and devices. So this is your MAM part, mobile application management. Okay. So it can be for both on-premise and on-cloud. So if you are into co-management part, so I can not only manage cloud-based devices, I can also manage my on-premise infrastructure through Intune. Okay. Then I can protect my company information by controlling the way users access and share information. Okay. So different policies can be enforced onto the users and their devices. This will enable you to control the way users access and share information. Okay, so for example, I don't want end users or employees to share official data with personal email IDs outside of the organization, whether they do it intentionally or accidentally. That should not happen. Okay, so security will be there through Intune policies. So be sure devices and apps are compliant with your security requirement. Okay, so we can also configure compliance policies here. So every company will have certain IT guidelines, okay, some rules and regulations. All users and devices must always adhere to. Okay, so a simple example. So my company says if I'm using Windows uh, operating system, so it has to be Windows 10 or 11 only. The two particular version and build, for example. Okay, so that will be configured as a rule, as a part of a compliance policy. Then Only such devices will be allowed to enroll to Intune, and only those devices will be considered compliant. Anything which is older or previous to this version, I'm not going to consider it as compliant. Okay, so hundreds of settings we can configure and enforce as part of compliance. Fine. So we can manage devices. Okay, so two things like I mentioned. So bring your own device. That is when a user or an employee brings his or her own device. That is also allowed. Or your company should issue a device. Okay. Now the question will be who controls what. So if it's a personal device, end user will have the full control when it comes to personal profile. The work profile will be controlled by the company admin. Okay, but if it is a company issued device, then the full control of the device will be with the company, obviously, because you as an organization, you have issued the device, so you will control. Okay, so what can happen? So let's say when devices are enrolled and managed in Intune, what administrators can do basically. So see the devices enrolled and you can get an inventory of the devices, the complete hardware information of the device, the complete software information of the devices, and which devices are accessing what organizational resources. You can always pull in the form of reports. Okay, so there are so many dashboards which are provided in the Intune portal, so you can monitor and pull reports for all these activities. Okay, so you can configure your devices in such a way that they meet your security and health standards. Okay, for example, you want to block jailbroken devices. Okay, so devices where the root is compromised, the operating system has been hacked, where the default settings are broken. Okay, this happens with Apple devices. So the operating system code can be broken, and the default the root admin control is overridden, so that is called a jailbroken device. Okay, so you don't want such devices to be enrolled in Intune. So Intune can detect such devices and skip them from or avoid them from enrolling to your company network, because those devices will be platform for hacking. Okay, because the root is being overridden, root admin control has been overridden, so anybody can access that device and use that to easily hack into your network. Okay, so Intune can detect certain security threats. Okay, you can push certificates to devices so they can easily access your Wi-Fi network or use a VPN also. So they can randomly connect from any location. But if you still want to enforce some security, then definitely you can create a Wi-Fi network profile or a VPN profile and allow them to connect to your company network first, and then log into their uh, cloud service, and then only start accessing uh, data and apps. So there is an additional layer of security that you can implement when you create certain profiles. We can see all the reports on user and device compliance. So once I configure compliance policies, then I can pull reports from time to time and see the compliance status. Okay, and also I can do this, remove organizational data if a device is lost, stolen, or not used anymore. So I can retire a device basically in the event of loss, or if the device is, you suspect that is stolen, or if it is not used anymore, you want to decommission it. So you can just purge all the company data from it and do a clean slate. Okay, or just decommission the device. And coming to app management. Okay, so this is your MAM section. So this was MDM section. Okay, this is your MAM section. So mobile application management in Intune is designed to protect organizational data at the application level. Okay, it's not just at hardware level, but also at the applicational level, including custom apps and store apps. So when it comes to deploying apps via Intune, so we can deploy uh, the general apps in the form of Win32 app, especially for Windows machine. We have Win32 app deployment method. Then we have a login method. Okay, and we can basically deploy all store apps for third party. Okay, like I can deploy apps from Microsoft Store if it is Windows device, or if it is third party device like Android. If it is Android devices, I can deploy apps from Google Play Store. And if I'm using Apple devices, then I can deploy apps from App Store also. Okay, so the account we use will be different. On a personal device like your own Android phone or Apple phone, you use identity, right? You use a Gmail ID or Apple ID to connect to Play Store and App Store respectively, and you can download various apps from these stores. I can do the same thing at a corporate level. So I can use a enterprise ID and sign up to Microsoft Business Store or Google Play Store or Apple's App Store and use it to deploy apps to my company devices so that my end users can access. So when apps are managed through Intune, what admins can do? So you can add and assign mobile apps to users and uh, user groups and devices. So we have the group concept here in Intune. Just like on-premise AD, we have group concept. Here also we have group concept for ease of administration. Let's say for a bunch of users, you have some common settings to deploy. So instead of uh, you know deploying the same thing again and again, repetitive tasks, you put all the users in a group or all the devices in a group. Let's say it's a user group or a device group, or in Intune we can do both. The same group can contain both users and devices. So when a bunch of objects have some common settings to be deployed, so for ease of administration, so we can put them in a group, and to that group you can deploy your policy. Okay, so that is what it says. Add and assign mobile apps to user groups and device groups, including users in specific groups or devices in specific groups and more. So this is for ease of administration. Okay, and also group becomes the base unit. Okay, when you have to deploy a policy in Intune, because I cannot deploy a policy directly to a single user or to a single device. So once you create a policy and when you target an assignment, okay, so I create a policy and I want to assign it to my users or devices. So when I click on the assignment button, so it will only allow me to select group, okay, individually, not a user or a device, but I would rather have to select a group. Now, if your target is a single user or a single device, no problem. Put that single item in a group first, and then you can assign the policy to the group. Okay. And one way that Intune provides mobile app security is through app protection policies. So I can not just deploy apps, but also provide security to my apps. Okay. So what I can do is I can create some policies called app protection policies. So this will help me to, isolate organization data from personal data. Okay. So let's say a simple example. So there is a corporate organizational email, employee receives. Okay, so he gets an attachment in the form of an Excel sheet, which has some important information. So I don't want the user to, you know, copy paste and share it with other personal resources. So I can avoid that through this app protection policy, because Intune will maintain two separate profiles: work profile and personal profile, which are always segregated. So you cannot copy and paste data from work profile into your personal profile. So sharing can be restricted to unauthorized resources. So help secure on personal devices by restricting actions users can take, such as copy, paste, save, and so not just copy paste, it won't allow you to save a local copy to the device, and also unauthorized access or view can be blocked. So policies can also be created and deployed on devices that are enrolled into Intune, and Intune can run along third-party MDM service also. You know, there are some third-party products also. So Intune does not act as proprietary here. So the same device can be managed by more than one MDM service. So there are some, you know, third-party products. So you can run them alongside Intune. Maybe some for some policies you want to use, let's say, some third-party MDM, then that is also possible. But nevertheless, Intune is a complete comprehensive solution when you compare it with your, what do you say, competitor products. So let me pull up this screenshot. Uh, okay, see. So why Microsoft Intune is best when compared to, or better when compared to, you know, immediate competitors. So this is a enterprise mobility and security product. So it's a one vendor, one contract, one SKU system. Okay, SKU in the sense pricing model. So if you look at, you know, competitors, so there are products like Okta or Salesforce Identity, Ping Identity, or Centrify. Now this is just cloud identity management. So it will only provide identity management. But what about MDM and MAM? So let's say I buy Salesforce Identity. So I can just provide identity management for my employees. So I can just create their identities and manage their passwords, etc. If I want to provide them MDM and MAM services, I have to go to another vendor and buy one more product, like from AirWatch, Mobile Iron, Symantec, Kaseya, Good, etc. And for information protection, I have to go to a third vendor again. So different services are available with different vendors. But with Microsoft Intune, this is the advantage. So it's a comprehensive package. You get everything with a single license. You just buy one Intune license. So it will be a one vendor system, one contract, and one pricing model. So you'll get everything alongside Active Directory premium features, Microsoft Intune license, and Azure Right Management Service. Okay. So for different cloud services, you don't have to go to different vendors. With one single license, you can manage identity, you can do MDM and MAM, and you can also protect the information and also applications with a single license. So that is why Intune is by far the best available product in market compared to its competitors. Okay. So compliance and conditional access, like I mentioned, we can create different policies to control the work environment of the users and computers. So let's get some more details on this. So this is what
and
Intune pricing looks like.
Microsoft
So
all
if you buy
market
any of this
usually
Microsoft,
Office 365,
what do you say,
SCCM and
product.
MECM,
So if I want to, sign up for Intune
पूरा
license,
celebrate.
so
आप लेते हो बोल के
Microsoft
इसलिए
provides a
आपके
trial
मॉडल
basically.
क्या रखा
Okay, just Google Intune trial.
पैसा होगा
This is the page
बोलो
you will
देते
come to. Okay, so there is step-by-step
वो लॉन्ग बैक
instructions
बोले ना
here.
10 साल
So
पहले
go to Intune sign up page.
हाँ
So you can use any of
10
your
लाख बोले
personal
हाँ
email ID if it is for learning purposes. But in real time, you will use a corporate email ID and then
लाइव नहीं कर
sign
सकते
up.
क्या एक
Okay,
घंटा
so sign up for Azure, sign up for Microsoft 365,
यार
or
मिलने के लिए
Intune for
यार
education is
क्लास
also
लेने
available,
ऑनलाइन
because Intune is brought not just by individuals but also corporates and schools also.
बिजी
Okay,
हो गए
in
सर
Western countries, to manage the student devices, etc. Some schools also buy Intune. Now this will be a 30-day trial. This will be Intune standalone license. Okay, this comes with what do you say? Some basic features, but for real time requirement and also to learn Intune with all advanced features, what I would recommend is EMS trial. Sign up for EMS trial. Okay, enterprise mobility and security. So you can see the pricing guide here. So this is what you need to sign up for. Okay, so in countries like India, for EMS trial, you don't need a credit card straight away. Okay, so you just need a PAN number to sign up for EMS. So you get two versions, one is E3 and one is E5. So look at the license cost. So E3 is about 765 rupees per user per month. Okay, plus GST extra applicable. That will be about 18%. If it is E5 you want, then it will be about 1185 per user per month. It will be an annual subscription. It will auto renew. Okay. So difference is that E5 will have advanced features. So let's say in identity and access management. See, in E3 this is missing, risk-based conditional access. Okay, this is not available, but in E5 that is available. Okay, so just a few differences here and there. In endpoint management, everything is same. Both E3 and E5 they provide the same features. In information protection, one feature is missing in E3, intelligent data classification and labeling. So this is missing, but it is available in E5. Identity driven security, same. So couple of features are missing: cloud app security and defender for identity. Okay,
Stanley, if we
yeah.
subscribe user level license, how
Huh.
many devices can be subscribed?
So user license is user based, obviously. Okay,
Yeah, but how many
so
devices the user can subscribe?
that depends on number of licenses. So in a trial version, what happens is we get 90 days trial and you get 250 licenses for free. Getting my point? So for 250 users, you will get licenses for free. This is for a period of 90 days. So after 90 days, Microsoft allows you to extend for another 30 days. Okay, so you can request an extension if you have still not tried all the features, just in case. But after a total period of, let's say, 120 days, if you wish to continue, then you have to upgrade to a paid subscription, meaning you have to start buying licenses. Okay, now this can be user based. Intune also provides device based. Okay, so mostly it will be user based licensing because you want your user to be able to log into any device. Okay, so by default, Intune supports 5 devices. So with a single license, one user is allowed to enroll 5 devices. or if you want, at a better price, some devices like, which are non-user specific, like your, point of sale devices or your ATMs, your kiosk machines. Okay. So these devices is where you don't have to be any, you don't need any specific user to be logged on, right? So then you can go with a device-based license. So that is very reasonable. I think it's about $2 per month per device. Okay, see, Intune standalone license, so it's about $2 per device per month. But if it is for your employees' sake, then obviously you'll have to go with a user-based license. So one user will be allowed to enroll 5 devices with one single license. So for example, let's say I have a employee called X, and I have allowed employee X, I have assigned a EMS license, 5 for example, to this employee. Now this one single license enables employee X to enroll one desktop, one laptop, one mobile, one tablet, and let's say this employee has 2 laptops, for example. So a single license will allow you to enroll 5 devices in total. Okay. But if you want a device-based license, so let's say this is an ATM machine. My client is a bank. He says, I don't want any user-specific license. I just want device-based. So this is an ATM machine. So you don't need any specific user to be logged in there. Okay. So then you buy a device-based license. That is just $2 per month. Okay. So you have to decide what you need, whether it is, user-based license or a device-based license. So if you buy any of these licenses from Microsoft 365 E5, E3, or EMS E5, E3, Microsoft 365 Business Premium, okay, Microsoft 365 F1, F3, Government, F5, F3, G5, G3, Intune for education. Okay, if you are at a school, if your clients are schools, colleges, or educational institutions, etc., you have Intune for education or Microsoft 365 education. So any of this one license, if you buy, that includes your Intune, MDM, and MAP. Clear now,
Yes.
Satish?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, Stanley. Right.
Okay. So that is how it works. So you have user-based licensing where it allows one user to enroll 5 devices with a single license, or per device if you want to buy, where you don't need any specific employee to be logged in, then you can go with device-based licenses. Okay. So this is about licensing. So always you can refer to the Microsoft official documentation and get the information, because this can change occasionally. Sometimes they may increase the price or decrease the price. So this is the latest. Okay, so this is the pricing. So for your trial, I would recommend go with E5. Okay, because there are so many advanced features with the E5 license that we need to test, and in order to become Intune administrator, we will be discussing some advanced feature, like for example conditional access, privileged identity management, okay, remote control through Intune, etc., autopilot. There are some topics where we need EMS E5. Intune basic license will not be sufficient, or E3 will not be sufficient, so it's always better to go with E5. Okay, so you can just click on this. So you can use any of your personal email ID if it is for your learning purpose. Okay, it can be your Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, Outlook, anything is fine. So use an email, a phone number, and your PAN number is required. But this is absolutely free for 90 days. After 90 days, if you wish to continue, then you'll have to buy licenses. Okay, but if you do nothing, or you can cancel. Even if you do nothing, by default, your subscription will be cancelled. And again, after a period of 90 days, if there is any data related to your subscription, then Microsoft will delete it only after giving you ample reminders. So just after 90 days, you will not lose your data. Microsoft will retain it for another 90 days, and they will remind you every now and then before that data is completely removed. Okay. So even for learning purpose, Microsoft gives you ample amount of resources. So better you sign up for EMS E5 trial. Okay. So this is how the portal will look like. Just let me show you the end user or at the admin experience. So if you go to portal.microsoft.com, I've already signed up, for certain services here. So this is my admin account in this portal. So this is called the Microsoft 365 portal or the admin portal. So this is where you will log in and connect to other portals and manage your day-to-day things. Okay. So from here, I will be connecting to Intune portal. So endpoint manager, that is. So this is how your Intune portal looks like. And to manage your cloud directory, so you have your Azure Active Directory. So these are the three portals we will be logging in on a daily basis in order to manage your Intune. Okay, so your users, groups, your policies, application management, device management, everything we do from here. So I have signed up for Intune trial EMS version E5. See, I got 250 licenses for free. Okay, so with a single license, I can enroll up to 5 devices. So for learning purpose, I mean, this is too much, I would say, because you don't need that many licenses, but still, Microsoft is giving you so many licenses. Okay, so I used a Gmail account. Okay, this is my account, FLITMDMLab@gmail. So because I have signed up for a cloud service with Microsoft, so I became a tenant. Okay, so this is my tenant. So I've given it a label as FLITEMS trial, and this is my domains. FLITMDM lab is my email, and because I am tenant on Microsoft, so it will assign the extension dot on Microsoft.com. Of course, I can change it to a custom domain name of my own choice, where if I have a registered domain brought from some domain provider like GoDaddy example. So instead of Microsoft provided name, I can use my own company name. Okay, and start creating identities with the name of my choice, provided you have a registered domain from a provider. Okay. So these are the portals. So this is called the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So from here, you can manage your users, groups, check your roles, billing, support, settings, and from here only, you can log into Endpoint Manager and also Azure Active Directory. So this is the actual Intune portal. So previously, this Intune portal was part of the Azure portal. So if you go to portal.azure.com, so somebody already in cloud management, so they would know Azure. So this was the Azure portal. So Intune was part of this portal initially, but now Intune has been moved to a separate portal, and this is the portal now. So endpoint.microsoft.com. Previously, there used to be a separate blade here for Intune, but now that's been removed. So if you search Intune here, okay, so you'll get Intune for education, etc. So it is prompting me to log in again. But see where it is taking me. It is taking me to that endpoint.microsoft.com. Okay. So previously it used to be in this portal, but from 2020 onwards, we have a new portal, a dedicated portal for Intune, endpoint.microsoft.com. Fine. Or if you sign up for an Azure trial, that is also fine. But there you will need a credit card. Okay. So it is a 30-day trial period. So if you sign up for an Azure trial, that also enables EMS E5 license. Okay, so it will be there in the option. So if you go to Azure Active Directory, and if you go to licenses and check all products, so you will be able to see enterprise mobility and security. You can just activate it. So anyway, it is fine. Okay, I will say if you want to use your credit card, you can try Azure trial. It will give option to enable EMS E5 trial also. Or if you're okay to use your PAN card, then you can directly go and sign up for a EMS trial. So if you want to learn both Azure and Intune, sign up for an Azure trial with a credit card, then it will also enable EMS. Just go there and activate your premium trial or EMS. If you enable EMS, it will include Azure AD Premium version 1 and version 2. Okay. Or if you are interested in learning only Intune, then this is fine. If you don't want to use your credit card, just use your PAN card and sign up for a EMS E5 trial for a period of 90 days. Okay. After 90 days, uh, Microsoft allows another 30-day extension with a valid reason. But after 120 days, if you still wish to continue, then you have to buy licenses. So based on the number of devices you want, users you want to manage, that many number of licenses you have to buy. Okay. But for learning purpose, this should be good enough. 90-day free trial period with 250 licenses is good enough for you to try and test and learn everything. Okay. Fine. So what exactly we are going to learn in Intune? So let me go run you through the topics that we are going to discuss. So first we will look at Intune introduction. Okay, understand the concept of Intune, MDM and MAM, fundamental and advanced understanding of this concept of MDM and MAM. Then we will understand the concept of tenant administration, how to register your custom domain, do your company branding, set up your company terms and conditions for sign up, and create your users and groups, user groups, device groups, and how to assign licenses, etc. Okay. Then this is important: Intune device enrollment methods and the restrictions for enrollment we have to configure. So we can do the primarily we will be focusing on Windows. As far as third party enrollment is concerned, yeah, we will definitely walk you through the configurations for third party enrollment, whether it is Android setup or Apple side. But as far as end user experience is considered, I may not be able to show you, maybe Apple. Okay, so that depends on device availability at that point of time. At least we can try Android. We can use an Android device and see the end user experience. As far as the portal experience is concerned, or whatever you need to do as an administrator, we can see everything from the portal and do the configurations. Okay, certain end user experiences will be limited. We can't see everything like in real time scenario because we can't buy that many devices or we can't do bulk enrollment, etc. So with whatever resources we have in our scope, we will use them. And to an extent, we can also create virtual machines because it's not possible to have physical devices all the time. So we can create some virtual machines and use them to manage through Intune. Okay, so set up device categories, how to set up automatic and manual enrollment, all that. Okay, and how to enable MDM and manual Intune. And the concept of static and dynamic groups we will discuss. And coming to the policies part. Okay, so two important policies we need to configure. The compliance policy, every organization will have this requirement. So you need to configure device compliance policies where you want to control which users can enroll what type of devices. Say my company is using only Windows and Android. No Apple devices are allowed, for example. So I have to create a policy there which will, allow only Windows and Android, but not Apple. So restrict Apple. Okay. Again, within Windows and Android, only some specific versions are allowed. So I have to create policy there, compliance policy. And like on-premise, we have group policies. Here also we can configure configuration profiles and control the work environment of the users. Then we'll move on to the deployment section where we will see how to deploy applications in Intune. Okay, so like I mentioned, we have the Win32 app method, LOB method, and store apps for Microsoft devices. We'll see how to deploy from Microsoft Store. So by default, every Windows machine will have this Microsoft Store access. But in Intune, it will be rather a corporate environment. So I am not going to allow end users to download and install everything as they please. I'm going to control what they can download and install from Microsoft Store. Okay. So on the same, on the similar lines, if you have an Android device, you'll have access to Google Play Store, right? Or if you have an Apple device, you have App Store access. So we can deploy apps from the respective stores. So there is something called supersedence. So I can override, let's say I deployed version 1.0. Now I want to override with 2.0. So either I can uninstall 1.0 and just do a fresh install of 2.0, or all the devices where 1.1 is already installed, I can simply override with 2.0. For this, we have supersedence method. Then we can see app protection policies, how to configure them and protect your application, apps and data. Intune also supports patch deployment like SCCM. Okay, but there are certain differences. Okay, so unlike SCCM, Intune patching is not comprehensive because in SCCM, I get to control a lot of settings. So SCCM rather gives me full control when it comes to what I can do, how I can do, when I can do, etc. So I can literally choose the patches that I want to deploy. Okay. But in Tune, because it's a cloud-based service, you don't get some controls. Okay. So what you can deploy will not be controlled in Intune. You can control certain things only, like when to deploy, where to deploy. unlike SCCM, it's not absolute control, it's partial control. Okay, but still it is predefined in Microsoft. Okay, so that's good enough for Windows machines. It's called Windows Updates for Business. We can use that. Okay, so we will see autopilot along with the demo. So autopilot is where you can, provision operating system. So this is not technically OSD what we do in SCCM. So this is called pre-provisioning. So this is rather, simpler and takes short amount of time. A lot of administrative effort is not required like in your SCCM OSD. Okay. So this is pre-provisioning, okay, or pre-configure a new device, make it ready for productive use. Or if it is an existing device, you can do a reset, repurpose, or do a recovery of the device using autopilot. Okay. So then there is, your hybrid environment concept. So what we'll do is we will create on-premise Active Directory environment. Then we will have on-cloud Azure Active Directory. We will configure DNS also, and then we can create a hybrid environment. So I can synchronize my on-premise identities with my on-cloud identities, and configure single sign-on. So using a single identity, my employees will be able to log into on-premise setup or on-cloud setup, or sign up for any Microsoft 365 services and access all those applications which they are allowed to access. So for different portals, they don't have to, log into log in with different identities. Simple example, right? If I log into my Gmail, so there are so many apps here. So for each separate app, does it ask me to log in again, or does it ask me for a different identity? No. Okay, because this is SSO enabled, single sign-on. Similarly, that we can configure in Intune also. So using a single identity, my employees should be able to access multiple services, whether it is on-premise, on-cloud, or all Microsoft 365 services. We'll see how to pull up reports, from the dashboards and monitor your day-to-day activities through these reports. Most importantly, co-management setup. Okay, so this is important. So how to set up a SCCM environment. So I'll not get into SCCM because that will be a separate curriculum. But in the background, yeah, we will have a SCCM setup enabled, and we will see how to manage the same device with both Intune agent as well as SCCM client. Okay, and we'll see how some policies can be enforced through SCCM and some policies through Intune, and various policies for security like BitLocker, for example. So I can secure my device hard disks by enforcing encryption at a hard disk level, not at file or folder level, but at an entire hard disk level, I can enable encryption. That's a BitLocker policy. Then because of that EMS trial, I told you, right? So there are some advanced features that we get. So how to configure privileged identity access management, how to define conditional access policies, and so on. So towards the end, definitely we will experience the third-party device enrollment, like how to sign up, and how to enable Apple device enrollment and Android device enrollment. Okay, so these will be the topics that will be going through. So primarily four sections. The base setup part, then the deployment part, then hybrid environment. Because tomorrow, if you work in a company where they already have an on-premise setup, then you will have to focus on the co-management part. So you should be in a position to enable co-management as well. Okay, so integrate your SCCM with Intune and do co-management. And in some cases, maybe you will come across third-party clients also. So you should be in a position to enable Apple device enrollment and also Android device enrollment. So what configurations we have to accomplish in the admin portal, we will go through that. Okay. So most of the activity we'll do from this portal. Occasionally, we will be going on to the Azure AD portal as well as the Microsoft 365 portal also. Okay. Fine. So if anybody has any questions or doubts, please go ahead one by one.
Yeah, I'll start, Stanley. My name is Satish. So
Sure.
regarding the lab setup, other than this
Ah,
90 days trial period,
yeah.
do you have anything like want to explore co-management, hybrid device
Yes.
management?
Yeah. Okay. So coming to that, so if you want only the cloud-based part, Intune subscription is fine. Okay. But if you want to, set up co-management, then obviously you will need on-premise setup also. So what I would recommend is, if you have your own desktop or laptop where you have at least 12 GB RAM, okay, and i5 or higher processor would be preferred, okay, and at least 500 GB of free hard disk space. So what you can do is you can use VMware Workstation or Hyper-V, whatever is available to you. You can set up some VMs. Okay, so you will need a couple of servers if you want to set up co-management and at least one or two clients. One should be enough, but you can have two. So what you can do is this will become your AD domain controller. So this will be your on-premise setup. So we can simulate with a couple of servers. So install Windows Server 2016 or 19. Make this your domain controller, and on the second machine, you set up your SCCM. Okay, create a domain environment first of all, abc.com, whatever name you want. So this will be your domain controller, this will be your SCCM server, and then domain join at least one machine. And on this machine, what we'll do is first we will install SCCM client, so make it a CM client. Then the same machine we will enroll to Intune also, and then enable your co-management policies. Okay, so some policies we can enforce through Intune, some policies we can enforce through SCC. A simple example. So now for this device, I want to do patching through SCCM, but apps should be deployed through Intune. That is what is co-managed. Okay, so that we can do. And one machine can be standalone. We will not join it to domain, but it would rather be a standalone machine. Directly, we can enroll this also to Intune. This will be managed only with Intune. So we can have two machines in a domain environment. So one will be just managed completely with SCCM, one will be co-managed, and one will be managed only with Intune. So all the kind of scenarios you can come across. But yeah, it will need some simulation of an on-premise environment. So this is what you need. So if you have at least 12 GB or higher RAM, i5 CPU, and at least 500 GB of hard disk space. So if you have Windows 10 or 11 professional or enterprise edition, you can use Hyper-V. If you have home edition, no problem. You can download and install a VMware Workstation, and you can simulate this setup. Okay, so I'll give you all the links from where you can download all this softwares and tools, and you can set up the environment. Not a problem. Okay, even I'll be doing the same because to enable co-management, we need this on-premise setup. Okay. So
Again, that is a free
yeah,
subscription, like
yeah, with the free
virtual
subscription
machine.
itself. Yeah, EMS trial. So
So
I
EMS
mean,
is fine,
you mean
but
about virtual
subscribing
machines? Yeah.
laptop,
Well, so like I said,
virtual
if you
machine.
if you have Windows 10 or 11, okay. So if it is professional edition or enterprise, you'll get Hyper-V by default with operating system. Okay. So all you have to do is go to control panel and enable Hyper-V. You will have to install Hyper-V tools and restart the machine. Okay. So if you don't have, what do you say? So I have Windows 10 Professional Edition. So what I can do is go to turn Windows features on or off. See, I have installed Hyper-V. If you have Home Edition, you will not see this because Home Edition will not support it. If you have Home Edition, then not a problem. So what you do is you can download VMware Workstation. Okay, so you'll get a trial. Now they are giving you 16 Pro. See, this is the official link. So you can download it from here and install. Okay. So for 30 days, you can try it for free, not a problem. Again, after 30 days, if you reinstall, it will work for another 30 days, not a problem. So what you use as underlying hypervisor, that is fine. Hyper-V or VMware or Oracle VirtualBox, anything is fine, whichever you are comfortable with. The purpose is to be able to create a couple of VMs and simulate a on-premise setup. That is important. Which tool you want to use is up to you. Whatever is available to you or whatever you are comfortable working with. For example, I am going to use Hyper-V. You may use the same, or you may use VMware Workstation or VirtualBox, Oracle. Anything is fine. Okay. End of the day, we are interested in creating VMs. A couple of servers for co-management setup, and for rest of all the things, we just need Windows 10 or 11 virtual machines. Intune supports only Windows 10 or 11 specific versions, not Windows 7 or 8. Okay, so 8 it supports some versions, but Microsoft is going to retire all those, so it has to be Windows 10 or 11 preferably. Okay, so you can download all the ISOs that you need from Microsoft uh, Evaluation Center. So you'll get both server and desktop operating system ISOs. You can download them and install the image. That's not a problem. So it's for virtual machine, so you get a 90-day evaluation. If you just Google TechNet Evaluation Center, you can download server as well as desktop. So you can try with server 2022 or 2019. So you can download Windows 11, okay, or Windows 10. That's fine. Coming to Windows Server, so it can be 2022 or 2019. Okay, so I don't recommend 2012 or 2016 anymore. So better use 2019 or 2020. Just download the iOS. Okay, so you'll get free trial for 90 days. Okay, so all the resources are available for free, not a problem. You just have to download some tools here and there, and then you can set up your own environment and test all things. Okay, so though it is evaluation, it will be fully featured. Okay, so all the features which you will come across in real time, you will get them with the evaluation versions also, not a problem. Okay, so I can guide you with uh, instructions if you need. That's not a problem. So some of you already know this, but if you still need any help, that's not a problem. Okay.
But you are parallelly going to execute in the lab, right? So the
Yes,
same.
yes, at the same time. So it will be a hybrid environment, obviously. So
Okay.
simultaneously, we will be managing on cloud and on premise also. Okay. So I'm
Okay.
not going to go through all aspects of SCCM. So I'll just have a background SCCM setup and I'll just show you how to manage or how to enable co-management and how to, control the policy flow. Okay. So what policies will control, I mean, through what policies you want to control the device, which policies will be enforced through SCCM, and which policies you will enforce through Intune, and understand the difference. Yes. Okay. Because this course will be focusing on Intune, not entire SCCM. Okay. So co-management is just a part of the integration of the on-cloud, on-premise environment. Okay. It's a hybrid environment. So that part we'll focus. Because SCCM again has its own curriculum and content, so that's a different aspect. So I'm not going to go through all that. Okay. So we'll focus on the Intune part, yeah, but for co-management, yeah, there is some SCCM part also involved. So that we'll do. Sure, not a problem. Okay.
Sir,
Okay. How
is
many days course this is?
This will
Intune
be about
provided
1 month
lab remotely, sir?
roughly. So we can have a weekend session or weekdays. If it is weekdays, we can have 4 classes per week. Each session will be for about 2 hours. If it is weekend, so Saturday and Sunday, we can have about 3 hours per session. So if it is weekend, it should take about 5 weekends. If it is,
30
weekdays,
hours
it's
session total.
same. Yeah. So it's almost about 30 hours of training, 30 plus,
Oh,
30 to 40 hours of training. So how we spread it across, that's according to our convenient times and availability. So within a matter of, 30 to 35 days, we should be able to complete this curriculum.
Sir, is the institution providing the lab remotely, or
No,
definitely we have to set up in
no,
our own
no,
laptop?
Ravi. No. I would recommend each one of you to use your own device. Okay.
Okay, but we don't have the proper requirements like I5
Uh,
processor, that is
at
I5
least
processor.
i3 is also fine, but I would recommend RAM upgrade. Okay. So if you can have at least 12 GB, that would be better. Okay. Or anyhow, if you are going to, sign up for Azure trial, then definitely you can create VMs there also, right? 30-day trial period you'll get. So you can create Azure VMs and then also you can try this, not a problem. So that is recommended. Okay. So, I mean, if you want to, get hands on the topics that we discuss,
Okay,
then definitely that is needed. Yes.
okay, okay, sir.
Okay. So upgrade RAM to at least 12 GB. i3 is also fine, not a problem. It will run a bit slow, but still you can manage.
Okay,
Okay. So at least 12 GB RAM, I would recommend because 8 GB or 4 GB will be very slow. If you run at least two VMs simultaneously, it will hang. Okay, so not recommended. So I would recommend at least 12 GB. So that is better.
okay, okay,
Okay,
okay, sir.
so that you can learn everything by yourself. So once we do a session and see the demonstration, so you can also follow. So I would recommend every one of you to sign up for an EMS trial and set up your own lab and follow alongside. Okay, so all the documentation, all the step-by-step guides, whatever resources you need, I'll provide all the support there. That's not a problem. Okay, sure. So if you don't have the hardware with you, no problem. You can sign up for an Azure trial, and within Azure, you can create virtual machines. For 30 days, it will be a trial period, not a problem. That should be good enough. Okay.
Yeah, last most important thing is what is the fees for this?
You can discuss those details with Shankar. Okay. Anything related to course, curriculum, and technology, you can ask.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you just brief me about yourself, like the experience that you have, the hands-on?
Yeah. So coming to my profile, so I have about 15 years of experience in both systems administration and training. So I specialize in Windows Server administration, Active Directory domain services, Azure, SCCM, and Intune.
Complete Microsoft.
Yeah,
Okay.
complete Microsoft domain. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not
Not
much
in
into
AirWatch.
third party.
Okay.
No, not in AirWatch or third party. So predominantly, I have been associated with Microsoft projects wherever I've worked. So
Okay.
all Microsoft
So,
technologies.
done any migrations like any tenant to tenant?
I have done it in Azure, not in Intune.
Okay.
I've done
Okay.
it in SCCM and Azure, but not Intune yet.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so at the moment in Intune, my experience has been with Windows devices only.
Okay. Windows. Okay.
Yeah,
Not with Apple,
not third
Android.
party. Okay, my client is not into third party yet, so may
Okay.
or may not in the future, but as of now, it is predominantly a Windows environment. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, but still, that should not stop us from learning third party. Okay, because Microsoft provides clear cut documentation on everything.
Yeah. But
Okay.
Windows device is like mostly it's laptops, all this stuff, right? But what
Yeah,
about
laptops,
the
mostly laptops. You have Windows Surface devices. Intune supports Windows Surface. That will again have Windows operating system or Windows mobiles where you have Windows operating system.
okay.
Okay, we don't use much nowadays, but yes, Microsoft has extended Intune to an extent where third-party support is also now available in full extent. Okay, but how
Okay.
many companies issue, mobiles as mandatory? That depends. For work purpose, that depends, right?
Yeah, it's BYOD we have,
Yeah.
right? So
So if
that
it is
utility.
BIOD, then definitely, yeah, you should be able to enable third
Yeah.
party support. We will see how to enable Android device enrollment and Apple device enrollment. That's not a problem. Okay. But only the end user experience part I will be showing you on an Android device. Okay. So
Okay.
getting the point. So I cannot buy devices in bulk and I cannot show you how bulk enrollment is done. So that is not practically possible. So with one device, we can see the end user experience. Okay, because see, why do we need a virtual machine or a mobile phone? So that we can see the end user experience. Okay, otherwise, whatever we do as an administrator is only in these portals. So the admin center, the endpoint portal, and the Azure portal. That's all. Okay, so we need all the virtual machines or we need Apple or Android mobile only so that we can also follow up the end user experience. Okay, so how it happens or what does the end user see actually? For that purpose is where we need this. Otherwise, we don't need the VMs which are desktops or laptops. Okay, just so we can see the end user experience and understand the end user's perspective, we need this. Otherwise, the Intune subscription and a couple of servers for AD and SCCM are good enough for us to learn the admin aspects. That's it. Okay.
Okay. See, my at least my experience is very,
Huh.
my expectation is very clear that
Huh.
I am not looking for just to explore that E5 portal features.
Huh.
Is something beyond that real time experience I'm looking for, where we can deploy the lab setup like
Yes, yes,
Azure VS
this will be
subscription?
completely implementation. Okay, I'm not
Yeah.
just going to discuss some theory and do some PPTs and leave it there. Okay, so we are going to discuss all the topics theoretically first, then follow it up by implementation. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm going to sign up for an EMS trial subscription, and I'm going to show you all the portal configurations end to end. Yes. Only difference will be the size of the devices or the number of devices. So unlike in real time, we will not hundreds or thousands of devices here. With whatever available or with whatever devices number we can manage, we'll do that. Okay, so that will be the only difference, the number of devices. The rest of the things will be as it is. It's live, right? This is cloud based. Everything is real time. Okay,
Yeah.
so even when you are going to implement Intune tomorrow in real time, and if you are starting at basic level, this is what you'll do. You'll sign up for a trial first. No company will buy license straight away, right? So they would want you to do piloting and testing first. So for a pilot environment and a test environment, you will try first. You will set up a trial subscription for 90 days and then try all this in your pilot environment and test environment. Once your company is willing to move on to production, then only you will start buying licenses. Is it not?
Correct. But device management and
Huh.
application management is up to okay, but the
Hmm.
advanced topics like hybrid and the co-management, that's the
Yeah, that is
I
what.
would see in the future.
That is what. I'm going to set up my own environment here. I'm going to build an Active Directory domain controller. I'm going to set up my SCCM server. I'm going to domain join my devices, prepare my on-premise setup, and then I'm going to enable co-management also.
Okay.
Okay, just like what you do in real time.
Okay.
Okay, so everything will be comprehensive implementation. So this is not just some theory or PPT presentation. This will focus on implementation also, hands-on. A lot of hands-on will be there. Okay, so like I mentioned, the only difference compared to live tomorrow is the number of objects that you manage. Okay, so tomorrow there you may have hundreds and thousands of objects. Here we just manage with few of them. Okay, probably about 4 or 5 users and 4 or 5 devices. That's all.
Okay.
Okay, so everything will be as it is what you do in real. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, hi Stanley. How career will be with the Intune in future? Because as of now, the all organizations using the SCM main premises, right?
See, there are some misconceptions among admins, especially related to Microsoft domain. So SCCM is by no means here to replace Intune. Okay. So Microsoft recommends co-management wherever possible. So SCCM is not replacement of Intune or vice versa. Okay. So SCCM is its own entity, Intune is its own entity. SCCM can do its own things, and similarly, Intune can do its own things. Okay. So it's you, I mean, as a company, it's for you to decide what you want to use. Okay. So yeah, in one of the initial sessions, we will definitely discuss in detail the differences between SCCM and Intune. But let me establish at this point of time that SCCM is by no means a replacement for Intune. So whether you are an already existing SCCM admin or somebody looking to explore into Intune, it doesn't matter. Both are here to stay. Both will be there. Microsoft recommends co-management. So if you are primarily a company which wants to, depend on cloud services only, then Intune will be better. You don't have any on-premise setup. You don't want to, set up any underlying infrastructure, and especially when you don't have servers of your own. So you can go with Intune. I just have end user devices, okay, their personal BIOD. Okay, some employees have their laptops or their mobiles or tablets. You want them to allow their devices to access corporate data and applications. Then I would recommend just sign up for Intune. Okay, and it's up to you. You want to take full control, or because it is personal device, then control will be at the end user side. You can still control certain aspects of it and segregate at least the corporate data and apps for security reasons. So two profiles will be created. One will be a work profile, one will be a personal. The personal profile, the user controls, the employee controls. The work profile, you will control. Or you can buy devices in bulk, okay, and you can issue laptops, mobiles to employees and maintain work profile only strictly, okay, and ensure that users don't use it for any other purpose except company related. Now some companies, especially the MNCs, they have a big setup already. They have underlying infrastructure, okay, they have their own data centers and they have servers, okay. So servers they want to manage with SCCM, but clients they want to manage with Intune. So that is where co-management comes into picture. Or my company decides to migrate because cloud services have many benefits to offer, like cost cutting, speed of resource provisioning, reliability, okay, productivity, global presence, load balancing, fault tolerance, high availability. All these services come at a minimal cost if you move your resources into cloud. Obviously, this will not happen overnight. Okay, so this migration process is time taking. You have to test it first, pilot it, then only you have to move to production setup. Okay, so while this happens, my project migration is going to take at least 2 years from the piloting to production. So what will I have to do for 2 years? I have to manage it as a hybrid environment. So I'll have resources both on cloud and on premise, and I'll have to manage a hybrid environment. So that is where I might be working with both on-premise AD and Azure AD, and both SCCM and Intune also. Okay, once everything is successfully migrated to cloud, then I can start decommissioning everything on-premise. But what if I have servers? So servers I can't manage with Intune. Okay, Intune is desktop only. Okay, user-based systems only. So Intune does not support servers. So if you have servers to manage, server systems to manage, then you'll have to use SCCM or equivalent of it. Intune will not support servers. So co-management will come into picture. So as far as the future of IT admins, especially Microsoft domain related, is concerned, yes, you can be a SCCM administrator and survive. Now it is being called MECM. Rebranding has happened. So MECM administrators will be in requirement, not a problem. Azure administrators and Intune administrators, as you can see, the demand is rising because more and more startups and mid-level companies are, starting to build their cloud-based services. So that is why, more and more cloud-based projects are coming into picture. Okay, so Azure and AWS are the top players at the moment. So if you can work in an Azure project or an AWS project or both, you become a critical. Similarly, when it comes to device management and application management, I would recommend that eventually you become proficient in both SCCM and Intune, because that is how the requirement will be. Okay, so if you are already into SCCM, it will become rather simple for you to understand Intune. But if you are relatively new, either way you can start. You can learn Intune and then SCCM, or preferably SCCM and then Intune. So then you should be in a position to co-manage your devices. Okay. So down the line, this will be the need of the hour. People who can do co-management and manage hybrid environment, both on-premise as well as on-cloud. Okay. So the job opportunities are aplenty. You can log into various job portals and check for yourself. SCCM admins, Intune admins, or Azure admins. Eventually, everything will move on to cloud for all the startups and mid-level companies. So very few companies which are MNCs, bigger MNCs, which have their on-premise already. There you might have to work in a hybrid situation. Okay, so if you are, a Microsoft domain resource, if you are willing to work in a Microsoft environment for a longer period of time, and if you are a systems admin, these should be your skill sets. Okay, so Windows domain administration, Active Directory, both on cloud, on premise, SCCM, Azure, and Intune. So if you are well versed with all these five technologies, so you can survive for a longer period of time in your IT career. Because that is how it is now, right? So you can't depend on one skill set for too long. So every now and then you should be, uh, willing to upgrade your technologies or whatever is, trending in the market. Make sure that you upgrade your skills. At least review your skill set every 3 years once. That way you can stay for a longer period of time. If you depend on just one single technology for too many years, you are putting yourself at risk. So I don't recommend that. So keep upgrading. Okay, at least with Microsoft technologies, and if you are a system administrator, this is what you should be looking. Eventually, from Windows administration, you should get onto Azure, Intune, or SCCM. So add advanced skill sets to your resume. So don't just depend on Windows administration for too many years. Okay, because the scope will be limited for you. Because nowadays, what you get is mostly cloud-based projects. Fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else wants to clarify?
Hi, this is Hussein from Hyderabad.
Okay, Hussein, go on.
Uh, I have 8 years of experience into sales. I want to switch to software now.
Okay.
So, along with this Intunes, in order to get a good, handsome salary, and should I be having any other courses to be done, or like should I be
Yeah, I
having any
would
other
recommend
knowledge?
you start with Windows administration first.
Okay,
Okay, so if you are completely new to the subject, then I would not recommend you going with Intune directly.
okay,
Okay, so I would recommend that you learn Windows administration first. Okay, like MCSC or MCSA course first.
okay,
Get acquainted with Windows server systems,
mhm,
Windows domain environment, Windows networking. Okay, and how to manage a Windows domain environment. That would be recommended. Then you can start learning each of these technologies one by one. Okay, whether it is SCCM or Azure or Intune. For all this, the fundamentals or the base level would be Windows administration knowledge, both
okay.
server as well as desktop.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
so because this is an advanced course, okay, so I would not recommend it directly to somebody who's from a different background altogether.
Okay,
But definitely, if you are willing to change your line, then I would recommend that you learn Windows administration first.
Okay.
That should be
Thank
your
you. Thank you, sir.
building block. Yeah. Okay, because otherwise you'll find it difficult rather to understand the concepts. So Intune, I would recommend for somebody who's already working in Windows environment as a systems administrator and is well versed with the concepts of Active Directory, group policies, domain environment, all this stuff. Yes. Okay. Anybody else? Anything at all? Sachin, Pankaj, Sumit.
No, nothing. Thank you.
Okay. So can we end the session then? Okay.
Sure, Stanley. Thanks for your
Okay. Thank you
demonstration.
all. Thank you for your time. Okay. So if you are interested for any further details, you can talk to Shankar from Intel IT. Okay. And hopefully I can see you in a training batch. Okay.
Is it possible to share this video, recorded video, in the group?
Yeah, I can upload it to Google Drive. That's not a problem.
Okay.
So if anybody has joined late or missed it, that's not a problem. Sure. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay then. Thank you all of you. Thank you for your
Thank you.
time. Good day.
Yeah, thank you, Stanley.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks.